Boom.
Welcome, everybody. It's Don't Worry Wednesday. Hi.
Hi. How's it going?
I'm great. How are you, man?
Delicious. Absolutely
Delicious.
delicious. Like
Exactly
ice
what
cream.
dude, that's exactly what I was thinking. Oh, looks
Yeah.
like I got to reset some levels
How you
here.
doing today? Hold
I'm
on.
up,
Oh
huh?
yeah, you're doing delicious. That's kind of how that goes.
Let me see. I got to hold on. You were way quieter than me. That's like the first time ever that's happened.
Well, that's because you guys asked me to turn. Hold on, actually, my mic isn't in the right spot. Okay, how's this? Is that
That
better?
that's a little bit better, yeah.
Okay, do you want me to turn my mic up a little bit?
No.
I would love to.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, you
Just
want me to?
just a touch. Just like a
Okay.
just like a little hair.
Not even a millimeter.
Not even.
Okay, how's this? Is that better? Okay.
Um
Okay, how about that?
oh, that
Yeah?
might have made all the difference.
Okay, there you go.
Actually, let me see now. Let me get me up to where you are. Oh, that was a little too far. Too
Uh,
far. Too close. A little too close.
there's like that's not even like that smooth. You hear that like it's like a
Yeah, you're going
in there. Yeah, but there's a like a in there,
oh
you
no,
know what I'm
I
saying?
don't hear that.
There's like a zzz kind of sound to my voice.
The castle
Zzz. Yeah.
no, the back of the throat.
Oh.
Both of
Eh.
us are quiet for AKD.
Oh,
Ryan's a bit quiet. Static's a bit quiet. Both of us are quiet. We're gonna try. You know what, Ryan? Turn yourself up even more.
are you sure?
Why not? Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Let's get us
Okay.
both up
I
into the
turned it up
red.
just a tiny bit,
How about
but
more?
it's you really?
Yeah,
I don't think it okay.
I can handle it. I can handle it.
Okay,
I'm
how's this?
looking
I
at the
can turn it
levels
up
right
more.
now. I'm
Do
looking
you
at
want
them.
it up more than this?
Yeah,
Okay.
keep going.
Okay, this is max volume right here.
That's max.
Yeah.
What?
It's 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 really loud.
All right.
I am clipping.
See now you're getting. Okay, so turn down a little bit
I
then.
can hear myself in my ears
Yeah.
better than if I take my headphones
Don't.
off, I'm quieter than when I put my headphones on. It's so loud.
All right. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna okay. I put myself back down to where kind of
All
like
right.
closer to where we started.
That oughta work. I think we're gonna
Okay.
be okay here. All right. So if I'm sorry, guys, I get to produce the show tonight. Jesse is really busy. He's got all kinds of craziness going on with school and all kinds of stuff. So, hopefully you guys can hear us. Can you hear us? Okay. I hope. I hope. You know what? Sound difficulties, big rip. Sound
Yeah.
difficulties, big
Hey,
rip.
sassy Jenna.
Sound
Yeah.
difficulties, big
Hey,
rip.
sassy Jenna. I can
Oh,
hear. Okay.
now there's an
Good.
echo. All right. And I fixed that. All right. So, welcome everyone. It is
Cool.
Don't Worry Wednesday. This is the show where we handle any issues, challenges, or stuff you might be dealing with. You can feel
Complications.
free to post them in the chat. You can feel free to put them on our website, bss.studio. Princess has the link in the chat right there for you guys. You can send us an email, dww@bss.studio. If you'd like to remain anonymous, I would definitely use the email option. And it's not still echoing, is it?
No, I was just echoing what they were saying.
Oh yeah, well, we had an echo.
Jeff,
There was an echo for a moment, but yeah, it
yeah.
should be gone now.
Jeff said, "Wow, echo," and I had this thought, like I should echo that comment, and Saula actually did, and I was like, "No way, we're on the same page." So now I have to do it.
Yeah, that's great. Um, yes. So, yep, you can
So
post them there. You can post them in the chat. And you guys are all echoing each other. This is great. It's like a team effort. And I'm getting the after effect in the chat, and I'm like, uh-oh, I'm still screwing up. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, so we've got Princess here. She is our chat room hostess. She keeps us on track. She's amazing. And yes. Oh, I forgot. Legal disclaimer. We're not professional psychiatrists, psychologists, police officers, lawyers, doctors, um, athletes, uh,
pediatricians, dietitians,
pediatricians, pharmacists, or
geneticists.
yes.
I was actually thinking, Joe, you have enough credits. Why don't you go out there and get yourself a degree, and that way you can say something like, hey, we do have a degree in
General studies.
general studies.
That's
Yeah.
basically what my degree would be in, because I took so many different classes in so many different areas. Like there was no major really. Because
Nice.
I just went to college because it was free and I could stay on my parents' health insurance for the
Yeah.
time being, like
Yeah.
it was so weird. But yeah, but I never really had much of a direction while I was in college. So at any rate, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys for being here so much, and we'll see you next week on Don't Worry Wednesday.
Whoa, that went quick.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I am the producer of the show tonight, and that's why it's all messed up. And I'm also the host and the star of the show in his appropriate place on the top bunk is Static P. Welcome, Static. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. A great day for me in the life of Static P.
Mm,
How's it going for you in the
great,
life of Static
man.
P?
In the world of Static P, oh wow.
Yeah.
Yep. It was great.
Well, I hold you pretty highly, so it should be pretty good.
I
Um,
you know, I enjoy
you
the
have a lot
world
of
of
favor.
Static P.
Hmm.
I really do. I'd
Yeah,
like to spend more time there.
me too.
Hmm.
Um, but I've God only gifted me with 24 hours a day, so it's rough. Um, but you know how it goes.
Yeah. I
You
want
gotta make it with it what
chocolates.
you can.
Pear kid, I want chocolates.
I recently found out that I probably shouldn't have chocolate. Um, yeah, I know, right? That's weird. I've been eating chocolate my whole life. And then
Mm.
I figured out recently it actually causes my skin to break out.
Mm-hmm. It
And I was
does.
like, oh,
That's not a
okay.
theory.
Yeah, right. And so I can still have chocolate. I just can't have more than like two candy bars a day or something. So it's not really hard to break that limit, but it's also not hard to stick to it.
Mm.
It's just a matter of yeah. And certain chocolates worse than others. The more processed, the worse. So for example, if I have like a completely like baker's chocolate, I'll be fine.
Mm.
But if it's like M&Ms, like I only have to have like less than a handful of those and it could cause my skin to break out. It's like four M&Ms could cause my skin to break out because
Mm-hmm.
M&Ms are so processed. But
Yeah.
if it's non-processed chocolate, it's a lot easier to I can have a lot more of that.
That's probably the sugar.
I think it's the sugar in combination with the chocolate because I can have a lot of sugar and doesn't cause my skin to break out.
Oh.
But I think because the chocolate is processed by basically being turned finer and finer and finer so they can
Mm.
melt
Mm-hmm.
at room temperature or
Yeah.
mouth temperature, right? It's basically you're taking the particles and making them thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner until it comes to a point where when it enters your body, it just goes right through you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say when you said room temperature and then corrected yourself to mouth temperature, all I could think of was like, you wish room temperature was 98.6 degrees.
Yeah, I do. I do. I do. Honestly, think about this. Your body wouldn't have to work so hard to keep your temperature up if the room temperature was just 98, you know?
That's true. But then what do?
Uh-huh.
You just sit there.
You just sit there and enjoy life. Um, it's
You
great.
better not move or else you'll like overheat.
Yeah. Well, why would you want to anyways? There's no reason to move. At
There's
that
no
point, you're
reason
just
to
like,
move
nope,
ever.
satisfied.
That's right, man. Perfect. Yeah.
I'll get myself a lukewarm Pop Tart and
Yeah, you know what? I think probably that's interesting you say that, because I think probably in my life I've eaten more Pop Tarts that were untoasted
Yeah,
than actually toasted, because they're Pop Tarts.
I
You're supposed
probably
to put
have
them in a
too.
toaster and they're supposed to be hot when you eat them, right? But I think
Uh-huh.
probably more times than not I eat them cold.
Yeah, it's funny. Me too. And it's like Pop Tarts are better toasted. They taste better, and they're how they were designed. But at the same time, it's so
Yeah.
much easier.
Yeah. Cherry says, I've never toasted a Pop Tart ever.
See, they're better toasted. You should try it sometime, but it is a lot easier
They
just
are
to.
pretty good toasted, but if you toast them too long, then they burn your mouth. Like the filling inside gets
Oh,
too hot.
yeah, the filling inside can burn your mouth. I've had that happen.
Hmm. But yeah, it's usually like the strawberry ones that are toasted. I don't think I've ever had like the chocolate s'mores ones or anything like that toasted. I think those are always just cold because I look at them and I'm like, oh, those look so good.
It's candy,
I
dude. It's
just
not
gotta
even,
eat
it's
it.
not breakfast. It's just straight up dessert.
Right.
So my mom does this thing. I wonder if anyone else has ever heard of this. We've done this since I was little. You take a Pop-Tart, and it's usually you do like the cherry or the strawberry ones, the ones without the frosting, though. You take a non-frosted Pop-Tart, you toast it, and then it comes out and you butter it. And you eat it with butter smeared all over the top of that thing. And I'm not talking about like a little bit of butter. I'm talking about you like soak it in butter.
Yeah.
And that's how we eat our Pop-Tarts when I was little. Have you ever done that?
I've not, but I'm gonna try now.
Yeah,
In
it's
fact,
good. You could do it on the frosted
what-
ones. I figured out too.
What would be great, I think, is to take a bowl and heat it. You know, like fill it with butter, so you have like
And
a
then just
bowl
dip
full
it?
of butter, and then you just, like you said, soak it.
Yeah.
Dip it in there
Yeah.
and let it soak for like 20 minutes, and then
Why don't we do that with chocolate chip cookies? Dude, I think
oh,
I think I'm onto something right here.
dude. Wow.
Dude.
All right. Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
You
Well, we
gotta
need to
try
get
it.
to the show. We're gonna
Mhm.
get off in these tangents.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, what are you guys even talking about in this chat room?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Brian has the best ideas. He does. He really, really does.
I don't know about
it's
that.
so true. It's so true. But at any rate, let's go to our topics, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Because we got a bunch of you guys, and it looks like there's a bunch of you here. And so I'll just go down the list. If you hear your name, you can, let us know you're here somehow. Give us a whole bunch of exclamation points or something like this. Like, just do this today.
Beautiful.
And you got to say that too when you do it. We won't be able to hear you, but you will know if you did it or not. So, anyway, all right. So, here are Dawn. That's awesome. All right. So, here's the list. Royal, also known as Saigo, Sevlev, SK, Awkward/Pika, Helmarok Hero, Kaneki, Ash, Yume or Cherry, Anonymous, but yeah, if you want to remain anonymous, you don't have to say who you are.
I'm here. Mine is one of the comments. You try to figure it out. Or topics, I mean.
Yeah. Becca Breaker, Jesse, and Black Eye Fat Lip.
Hey.
So, okay. So apparently I'm here.
And Ash.
Yeah, I said Ash. Ash had two. There was one up above that I said Ash. And yes, and I think I saw Ash earlier. But maybe not anymore.
Yo, what's up with your mama, dad?
Yo, what's up with your mama, dad? So I can't actually make that sound. That's okay. You can try. My grandma used to try. It was hilarious because you do grrr, like
she can't
that.
roll her R's. Mm-hmm.
You know how to do that? She would try so hard. She'd try so hard, and all that would come out was.
Oh, yeah. Kyle for a long time couldn't. I don't know if he can now, but my brother couldn't roll his R's either. So it just came out. I was like, one of these days you'll get it. If you keep on trying, I guess.
Yes.
Ash.
All right. So it looks like Ash is here. All right. So that would be the first one here. We've got two from you. We've got one called Help and one called Troubled Kid. Do you have a preference on which one to do? Troubled Kid. Okay. Let's do that one then. Boom.
Boom.
Let's see. Can I do it? Oh, Princess, you're so fast. All right. Hedjelp.
Yeah.
Help.
Has been resolved.
Has been resolved. All right, cool. Cool. So yep, you can click the link there in the chat, and Princess will be happy to read this for us. I think. Well, maybe she won't be happy, but she's going to do it anyway, right?
Oof.
I am happy.
Oh, good. All right, good.
How
Okay.
dare you presume things negatively?
I'm so sorry. Princess is
It's
amazing.
fine. It's fine. Hello, everyone. I just joined, so my name is Ash. I'm a very creative person, almost always reading, writing, drawing, or singing. I'm in high school. Anyway, after yesterday's live stream, or when I had to leave anyway, my parents started yelling at me, saying that I didn't get off fast enough. They continued yelling at me for a bit, and then we ate dinner. I ate quickly, even though I wasn't hungry at all, then went to my room to write this. I'm writing this on paper, so I'll type it out when I can. I feel like I'm going to cry, because they yell at me practically every day. It doesn't help that they took my phone and my laptops away, so I can't talk to anyone, or to the one person that can make me happy without fail. So I crossed out the other problem because it's been resolved. I have asked him out on Halloween, and he said yes. There is one problem. That's another thing involving my friend. He is my best friend, and we've known each other for 3 years, IRL. During quarantine, we got closer in 3 days, then the 3 years. I had a breakdown, and all my friends couldn't help me be happy, except for him. His name is Cadence, and I've liked him for 2 years. Same for him. I'm also a day older than him. But here's the problem. Wait. That was already crossed out. Wait, should I be reading this?
It was crossed out. I don't know how you've been doing a great job so far.
Yeah,
you can finish it.
You crossed out
You can finish
Sorry,
it.
it's already
It's
crossed
fine.
out. Oh well. I told him that. I told him to ask him when he's ready, but he never responded to that email. I really wanted to ask him out, or hint at him at least to ask me, but I don't know how. Sorry, this is long. It's more than a page for me. Is there anything you guys can do to help? Thanks, Ash. And I apologize.
That's okay.
That's all right. It's interesting because it's been typed and then crossed out, but probably I thought about that too. I'm like, is this supposed to be read? And then I'm like, well, it can be deleted. Like the person can, like delete it, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of like a for reference thing, I think. So like they put it down to show what it was, what the what a topic was, but then they cross it out because it's no longer needed.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so.
But I thought it actually referred to the first post they made and not this post.
Oh, gotcha. So
yeah.
So they have basically then 3 questions.
Well,
That's
so the
fair.
first, it's the first part that really needs to be addressed here. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got an issue with parents yelling and maybe losing their temper and that being a really tough thing. And you mentioned you're in high school. That also is a tough time probably for both parents and kids. I know that my parents had a really tough time with me when I was in high school. And now being a parent, I'm being paid back for that. So I also understand things from a parent perspective as well. But at any rate, thank you so much, Ash, for sharing this and feeling comfortable sharing this. It takes a lot of guts to share something like this, and so really, really appreciate you taking the time to do it and having the guts to. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan because he's like a saint, and so he will have probably the best advice that anybody could give you. So, Ryan, take it away.
I figured out today that I'm not a saint anymore. I was talking to Rainey earlier.
Oh.
And I had notified her of some things, and she realized that I had been killing microorganisms.
How dare you kill microorganisms?
Yeah, and that's not very kind of me. So I might not be a saint anymore. So I apologize to all my fans, and I hope that you can still love me. But I'm going to do my best on this topic.
We're allowed to kill things.
I know, I'm just kidding. It's all right. But not spiders. Spiders would be a sin.
Not if you eat them.
That's true. You kill it, you eat it. It's fine. Yep. That's my problem, is that no one eats spiders anymore. So that's the issue. But if people were to still eat them, I'd be fine with that. Okay. Anyways, Ash, this is a good topic. I think a lot of us can relate to this. We go through these times where we're at ends with our parents and things like that. Maybe it's been your whole life that way. I grew up, my mom was never this way, but my dad always was. Always quick to yell, quick to shout, quick to point out anything that he didn't like. And it basically led to me just going, oh, I'll just avoid him. I'll just kind of go to different rooms. If he's in that room, I just won't go there. And that's kind of how I grew up for several years of my life until my parents got a divorce. I don't wish that on anybody. I'm not necessarily recommending it for your parents. I'm just telling you my life experience. Basically, though, there's a couple of things that you don't know as a kid, and hopefully we can share that here. And that is, the main thing is this: your parents have a life and they have their own emotions about that life, right? And they don't realize a lot of times that they're taking those emotions and putting them on you. So a lot of parents do this, a lot of kids do this, a lot of people do this in general. It's when we're around our family, we let loose. You can go like, how come you're always really nice to strangers? Like, you're always like happy, cheery, happy-go-lucky. You answer the phone like, hey, how are you doing? And then you put the phone down and you're like, get out of my house. It's like, what's with the contrast? Like,
Yeah, right.
what's up with that? Why does the demon come out when the doors are closed? And that's how people tend to be. Once they get behind closed doors, when they're around people they're comfortable with, they let loose those emotions. They let loose their frustrations. So there's likely a lot going on in their life that they're not happy about. Maybe it's something that's going on in their workplace, or maybe it's just things aren't getting done and they really like to see things done. Like, you have a personality that is all about getting things done. It's called choleric. And if they're not getting the things they want to get done in the day, it comes out as like just anger across the board, because these things are not getting done. And they're like, it's kind of scary. But that's their personality. And it's not like they're trying to be mean. It's just that that's their emotional reaction and that's how they act. They have nothing against anybody. They're not mad at anybody. They're just mad that things aren't getting done. They're mad at the scenario. And that comes out as offensive. It comes out as mean towards other people. And they don't try to be mean. They have nothing against those people. It's just how they speak. And so that can be hard. Or you have another side, of the coin. Maybe they're, not that personality, but their personality requires fun in the day, right? They're sanguines. Sanguines, they want to have fun like every day. They want parts of their life to be fun. They want parts of their life to have joy in it, to be enjoyed. And when they go through, a day where it's just hectic all day long and there was nothing enjoyable about it at all, it's easy to for them to just kind of break down and then just get upset and angry at everything. And that's just how their personality reflects their day. And then you have other people like phlegmatics. Phlegmatics usually don't get angry. They can, but phlegmatics usually just kind of get grumpy. And tell you like they don't want to talk to you. And they're like, just like, get away from me, basically. It's not usually like yelling, but phlegmatics could yell. And that's basically, if there is some kind of upsetness in a relationship, if they have a relationship with someone and it doesn't even have to be you, but if they have a relationship with somebody and it's not going well, that will break them apart, and it will go, and they'll just turn their personality inside out and upside down. they will not be enjoying life whatsoever. Their main thing is they want their relationships to be going well. And if they're not, that's the only thing that can occupy their mind at that time. I know that because that's the way I am. If if a relationship isn't going well and I really care about that person, that relationship will just take up the entirety of my mind, and I will not be able to focus on anything. And yes, Joe or CDVNL in the chat just mentioned Personality Plus, and that is the book that I'm kind of referencing right here. It is a fantastic book, and I would recommend anyone read it. Ash, you said you like reading. I would 100% recommend getting that book. Get your hands on that book and read it. It will help you out, not only in your experience with your parents, but in your experience with your peers, schoolmates, your future children. It is super helpful because if you understand people's personalities, it can help you be more lenient towards them and be able to play them well. Meaning like you'll be able to drive them or be able to understand what they're thinking so that you can navigate the conversation better or navigate them towards a better goal or a better end. So understanding people's personality really helps you to communicate better. The last personality I was going to cover is they could be melancholy. And
which
that's
is
what
the
Joe
best
is.
personality. It's the best personality of all.
So melancholy people tend to be very logical. Everything they want things, they calculate everything out before they ever start doing anything. They are very logical. They're very quick at picking out what's wrong in a scenario. And that's a beautiful thing because it also helps them to identify what can I change to make it right. But that's a talent that you have to learn. But anyways, their issue is if they're wrong about something, if something doesn't add up, if there is an issue where, you know, things aren't going well, but especially if like they were wrong about something, their whole day will fall apart. They will easily get angry. I've witnessed my brother, he's a melancholy, many times in my life, get angry about stuff. And he doesn't tend to get angry anymore. But if you have a heated debate with somebody that's a melancholy, they will win no matter what, or it will just be pure anger. Just constant pure anger, and it doesn't end. Until you admit that they're right, even if they're wrong. And even if they know they're wrong.
Wait.
Sometimes.
Not a melancholy.
Yeah.
I thought that was a choleric trait. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
That's true. They both do it. They both do it. But anyways, yeah, so melancholies, they want to be right about things. And if they're wrong, it hurts them mentally, and it makes them kind of fall apart inside. And so those are things you can identify in people. People aren't always just one trait. They can be multiple, and they could be technically all four at different parts of their lives. So my point is this. When your parents are yelling at you, right, when they're, they might not be like, I have to put into context for people who are living outside of America. When we speak of yelling at people, it doesn't necessarily mean shouting, volume thing. It could just be correcting somebody in a non-friendly way. Yelling can be the concept of telling you to do something just in a very non-friendly way. So if they're yelling at you, then it could be that they don't know well how to communicate. They were actually screaming. Okay, that's fair. So it could be that they are experiencing a lot of issues in their daily life, and it's kind of coming out onto you. And for that, you're just going to have to forgive them. It's kind of what family does, and it's not healthy. I remember hearing a priest say this once. You know, he said, I think it was a priest, but anyways, you think about the people that are the most important to us. Don't you think it would be most important to be the best version of ourselves around them? But we tend to do the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
The people that we're the closest to, the people that we have the most interaction with, you know, those are the people we end up letting loose to and showing our worst sides to.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we are as humans. And you know why? Because it's a good thing. And it doesn't sound like a good thing, right? Like, how is that a good thing? Here's why it's a good thing. You have to understand this. In a relationship, whether it be marriage or parental or anything along those lines, your best friend, um, in those type of relationships, at the end of the day, no matter what happens, we still love each other, right? If I have a wife, right, and she does something that I don't approve of, my heart sinks because I don't approve of what she does, and I feel bad for her that she had done that thing, right? And it hurts me that she had done that thing. She betrayed my trust or whatever it is, right? At the end of the day, I still love her. I still want what's best for her. And I still want to overcome this. So by showing her bad sides to me, she's showing her broken self, the parts that can be fixed, the parts that rather not fixed, but changed and improved upon, to the person who should be the most trustworthy and helpful towards fixing and changing those things, right? So put in a different way, if I show my failures to someone I love, then I hope that they'll forgive me. And by doing that, we can start to fix the things that I have wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
I have many things and many traits that aren't good traits, but they don't get worked out by meeting strangers and being happy-go-lucky around them. They get worked out in the madness of going through them. When I mess up, when I make a mistake and I feel that guilt, when I go through the pains and the sufferings that my bad sides lead to, it's those times and it's the friendships that hold dear, like the relationships that still remain intact, that help to fix my problems. So it's actually, and even though it seems like a bad thing, it's a good thing that we kind of let loose around the people we love and show our worst sides to, because it allows them to help us fix those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit interesting, though, when it comes to a parent-child, because the parent doesn't necessarily respect the child the same way they might respect their spouse. And they might not even respect their spouse. There's a lot of parents or people out there who don't respect their spouse.
Mm-hmm.
They marry them without any respect, and that's really rough. But anyways, I think that when your parents are shouting at you, the first thing you have to remember is this: they're shouting at you because you're family, and that's when people let loose. That's when people let their bad side show. So instead of getting upset at them, you should pity them. And it's weird to pity your parents, but pity is not a bad thing. I think the world we live in wants to say pity is a bad thing. Like people say, oh, don't pity me. No, pity is a beautiful thing. Pity is a beautiful thing because it shows your heart that you care about them, right? When you look at someone and you pity them, it means I feel sorrow in my heart for your situation. And I wish I could help change that. That's what pity is. It's a good thing. It's a form of sincere compassion,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when they are yelling at you, when they're rude to you, when it seems like they don't care about you, understand they do care about you. They're just close enough to you to let their bad sides show. That's how close they are. They're close enough to you to let their bad side show and forget that they need to keep control of themselves. Because it's easy to keep your control around people you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so easy sometimes around the people that you're closest to.
Mm-hmm.
So remember that it's because you're close that it kind of you get to experience the bad sides of them. So instead of getting mad at them, instead of feeling like they just hate you, because that's not the case, you should turn to pity and go, I feel bad that my parents are in this situation where they feel like they need to yell at me
Mm-hmm.
when they don't need to. I feel bad for my parents that they're struggling with this. Their emotions are fickle and they become angry quickly.
Hmm.
That's sad. That is a sad thing. That's not enjoyable for them, and it's not enjoyable for the people around them. So it's okay to feel bad for them for that. And so I hope that that gets across. And the reason I say that, it doesn't seem like it would solve your problems, but what it does is it builds your heart, and it puts your heart in the right location, in the right place, in the right, I guess it puts your mind in the right way of thinking, so that when you experience being yelled at in the future, it will the way you take it will be changed. Because I can't stop your parents from yelling at you, and you might not be able to stop your parents from yelling at you either. You can always try to have a conversation with them about it, and it might help. A respectful conversation, not where you're telling your parents off or telling them that they're wrong, but an honest and open conversation where you approach it like, hey, so, as family members, sometimes we let our worst sides show. And I understand that, but like, it really hurts me a lot, and I'm trying to figure out how to get through this better. What should I do? I don't know. But like, just like when you yell at me, I don't know how to handle it. So I know that you're not evil people, and I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. I just don't really like, is there something I should do better? I don't know. It can be hard to have that conversation, and it might not go very far. So my point is, I can't stop your parents. I don't know if you'll be able to stop your parents from yelling at you. It's up to them. To recognize that they are hurting you is important, but that doesn't mean that they'll stop, because it's their own failure on keeping their emotions in control, right? They don't have emotional control. So rather than trying to fix that, I'm trying to help you interpret it in a way that allows you to show compassion instead of sorrow for self. Because you can feel sorry for yourself that they're yelling at you, but that'll only make you hurt worse. But if you feel sorrow for them that they're yelling at you, then it won't make you feel worse. It'll actually make you feel better. It'll make you take what they say in a different way. I remember kind of changing the way I think about that when I was a kid. When I started being yelled at, whether it be my mom or my dad, and the way that I took it, if I changed that, it changed everything. It changed my composure. It changed how I could talk them through the situation. It changed how I could say, okay, yeah, you're right. To like, I could actually say that now, and it didn't hurt anymore. Like, it allowed me to navigate and be on top of and be in more control of the conversations that we were having, because I cared for them and their sanity and the fact that they were losing control, rather than feeling sorry for myself that I was being yelled at for unjust reasons. Because it is important to uphold justice. But if I don't have composure, if I don't have control over myself, and I just feel like getting revenge, or whatever, it's hard to deal with. So anyways, I've spoken for like quite a long time trying to get to that point, and I hope I made an impact on your heart so that you can look at your parents with a little bit more pity. And I know that sounds weird, but with that compassion, I'll say compassion instead, because it sounds a little bit better. Look at your parents with compassion when they yell at you, because that makes a huge difference. But I'm going to move it over to Joe. I'm sure Joe has a lot of great things, and I'm sorry for taking up so much time.
Well, I don't have as many great things as Ryan has, because like if you for you to navigate the situation that you're having with your parents, I mean, go back and listen to what Ryan said a few times. I mean, there's a lot of gold in there for you to dig out, and it can really help. as you navigate that. But what I'll share is kind of more along the lines of, okay, what is going on inside you while this is happening? What kinds of things can you think to yourself? What kinds of ways can you approach this? And Ryan was getting to that towards the end, where he was like, okay, instead of looking at myself and feeling sorry for myself that this is happening, he was like, I'm having compassion for my parents, right? And so like that's an internal feeling. He's not going and telling and saying, "Oh, I have compassion for you." I remember.
No, I don't say that out loud,
No,
right? Yeah,
right,
that's a
yeah,
good thing.
because a lot of times that just might escalate the problem. So these are things to say inside your mind, like I've made that mistake before, where I'm like,
Yeah,
I feel so bad for you that you are terrible, or something like that.
Yeah, people don't take that one.
Right?
Well, the thing is, it's not wrong to do those things, and that's not the problem. The problem is the issue of pride. It's like, oh,
Right,
you
right,
called me out
right.
so bad right there because I am acting out of place, and I am totally not. Oh man, now I'm even angrier.
Right, exactly. That just makes it worse.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I've kind of been paying attention to what you're saying in the chat, and I think
Mhm.
I'm really happy that you have Cadence with you, to help with some of this. That's a very important person to have. Someone who can encourage you, someone who can be there, even if they don't have anything to say, but they can just be there with you, while you're going through some of these things. That can really be helpful, and that's really one of the reasons why we do this show, is because a lot of times when people are going through challenges, we just need to have somebody there that we can be with, whether they have good advice or not. They just care, and they don't judge us, if that makes sense, right? I remember that was the key when I had a nervous breakdown my freshman year in college, and I ended up in therapy, and I ended up in and out of the hospital with panic attacks and doing it was crazy time. And when with the therapist that I was seeing, the psychologist, the main thing that I remember that really helped me was he listened, and he didn't judge. He listened to what I had to say, and he listened to what was going on, and he didn't make any judgment on me as a person. Now, he helped me unpack my thought process on a lot of these things and help me understand that, it's not like you're making a big deal out of these things, and they don't have to be a big deal, right? Like, and that was in my case, what I needed to deal with. Now, in this case, if there's from the sounds of things, from some of the things you've posted in the chat, some of these things might borderline on verbal abuse.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
would agree with that.
there, so I don't know for sure. But what Ryan was saying is spot on. That the reason it's happening is not because of you. The reason it's happening is because there's stuff going on in their life that's not good. And it's coming out, unfortunately, on you. And that, I mean, for one, it's irresponsible of any of us to do that to another person, whether it's our child, our spouse, our parents, whoever it is, for us to unload our emotions from the rest of our lives going on, the outside of this relationship, for us to unload that on somebody, that's not fair, right? It's not fair to them. It's not fair. And it doesn't really resolve anything. It might be, a way for us to vent a little bit, but other than that, it really just kind of causes more problems. But there's a silver lining here, and that is that great opportunities come from great challenges. And you're in the midst of a great challenge right now. This is a tough time, and I'm not even there, but just from what you're describing, this, I can tell this is really, really, really hard. here's the thing. We only get strong through great challenge. You guys have heard me. If you guys have been on this show, you've heard me talk about exercise and how important that is, right? Like, I challenge myself in my workouts. And it hurts. It's painful. And I'm breathing hard and I have a hard time. Like this morning, it lasted for 45 minutes, which is a long time.
That sounds pretty bad.
And it was painful. And, I was like staggering around and everything. But the reason I did that wasn't so I would inflict pain upon myself, but it's so I can have endurance and so I can have strength and so I can build those muscles, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I first started my job outside of Black Static and Swerve is a property inspector, right? And I remember when I first started doing it, the verbal abuse you take as a property inspector when you show up at someone's house unannounced and start taking pictures of it,
mm-hmm.
like you set yourself up to get abused verbally.
Yeah.
And when you don't know how to respond to that, it's hard. But there's one thing that I took from all that, from people coming out and yelling at me and calling me names and screaming and, telling me to leave and threatening me with baseball bats and all kinds of other weapons they might have had. Calling
Shotguns.
the police, dealing with police coming and talking to me, all these issues, right? I mean, all of this. If there's one thing that it's created in me, it's a strength where I can pretty much handle myself in any situation with another person and be relaxed. Somebody could come at me just like yelling and screaming, and I'd just be like, I might give them a look like, really? Like, we're going to do this? Okay. If you want to do that, we can. So, but at any rate, going through those, I would never have that poise without going through those situations of people yelling at me and giving me a bunch of grief. And that's what's happening here. It doesn't seem like it at the time when we're going through the challenges. When we're going through the challenges, it just seems like challenges, right? When I'm going through my workout, it just seems hard and painful, right? But one of the things I have, at least in my workouts, is that I know where it's heading. I know why it's happening. I know what's going to happen as a result of this. And it's I'm going to be in better shape. I'm going to have stronger muscles. I'm going to be able to do more for longer. I'm going to be able to keep up with my kids. All kinds of stuff, right? But that's what's happening here with you going through these challenges. It's kind of like exercise, but it's exercise for your poise and control and your ability to deal with other people, and still be relaxed and still be compassionate, like Ryan was talking about, and still be loving. All of that. So remember that as you're going through this is just a training ground. This is a proving ground that's building you into somebody strong. It's building you into somebody great. And not only that, but because you're handling these issues, you're going to be able to help another person. Because there are lots more people that deal with parents that yell a lot. There are a lot more people that just deal with people that are angry a lot. It seems to me like the older I get and the longer I'm here on this earth, it seems like more and more people just cannot control their emotions. And maybe it's the profession I'm in. Who knows? But it seems to me like all around me, I just see people losing their helmet. Like all over the place, right? And I was like,
so you do work inspections, but yeah.
It's amazing. But it's like, wow. So, but at any rate, so remember that. And keep in mind, these things that you're going through are going to change you. They're going to build you. And so stick with cadence, for as much as you can, for sure. You've got something valuable there. And then also remember that we're here. Anytime you want to talk to, us on this show, there's a lot of people in Discord. I mean, all this stuff. Like, we want to have a community. This community that's here in the chat is wonderful. And we'll be here to just, build you up if you need it. So anyway, that's a lot of what I had to say. Ryan, did you have anything else?
I kind of just wanted to second what you were saying there, Joe. This moment in your life, it stinks. It is not fun, but the suffering will not go unrewarded. I have an example in my life kind of similar situation. I had stated, I was growing up with a dad who was aggressive. He was at the time, I can say this, he was an angry alcoholic. He wasn't just verbally aggressive, he was physically aggressive too. So I was trained at an early age to be able to hold my tongue, to hold my temper, because I knew that no matter what, I could not win that fight. If it was a temper tantrum, my dad could throw a better one. He could, and it was a lot stronger. I wasn't at some point, it became no longer a shock for him to pick something and throw it across the room. It was just like, yeah, that's what he does. I'm just glad it didn't hit me. So my point is, what's interesting is that happened to me. And I think that sort of thing shaped my personality in a way that allowed me, at first it made me docile. It made me just want to be agreeable with everybody because I didn't want to make anybody angry. But as I matured, it allowed me to become capable of controlling myself, controlling of my emotions, because I had been doing it since I was little. I had been controlling my emotions since I was little because I was always fearful of my dad if I wasn't, right? And I don't, everyone has this sense of fear from their dad or their mom, but obviously on this scale, it was a little bit more intense than your average scenario. So similarly, you go through this and you learn how to, and it's not a fun way to learn. It's not an okay way to learn. It's not justified, but you learn basically, at first you just become docile. You just become like, yeah, I won't say anything. I won't do anything. I don't want them to get angry with me. So I just shut my mouth. I don't do anything, I just walk away. I just do what I'm told, that sort of thing. But as you progress through your life and you become more mature and you start to learn about, different personalities, and you start to learn about yourself and you start to get more self-confidence, which is really important. You start to have more self-respect, which is really important. Then you start to progress into the stage of self-control where you can clearly and easily manage your emotions because you've had the training in the past to do it. And then you'll see other kids who can't. You'll see other adults who can't. And you'll wonder why. What I've noticed is the more spoiled the child is, or the less the parents cared to scold them when they were wrong, the more out of control that child tends to become.
It's true.
I've seen it a lot of times, over and over and over and over. It's just a fact of life. So my point is, just like Joe said, there's a silver lining to this, and it is real. It's not, oh, maybe it's not like some kind of thing that we're just throwing on there to try to give you hope. It's a real thing. I've experienced it in my life. I've watched many others experience it in theirs. When you have, and it's unfortunate because you aren't necessarily doing anything wrong, you're just being yelled at. It does kind of force a certain ability to control yourself because you know you have to control yourself. You're being put in an environment where you have to control yourself, or you literally get terrible results. So in that sort of environment, it trains you to have a sense of self-control that's built into you. And then you can take that into your later life and do incredible things with it and be able to tolerate people a lot better, or be able to manage your, whatever, whether it be tasks or people or anything, with a lot more emotional control, with a lot more sense of calm and peace, because you've been through the hard times. You've been through people yelling at you when and learning how to be calm through it. So you can go through anything, and learn how to be calm through it. But anyhow, I hope that helps. Hope that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope my example is a useful one. But yeah, anyway, back to you, Joe.
Yeah, no, that's gonna about do it. Ash, I really appreciate you sharing, and I hope this makes a difference for you. I hope some of what we talked about, especially what Ryan said, can help you navigate this situation, because it is hard, but you can make it, and you'll be stronger for it. And so you do have a very bright future ahead of you. That is very, very true. And yeah, I hope you stick close to us, because I'd like to see your future unfold, because I think it's going to be pretty awesome. So anyway, thanks again, Ash. And yeah, with that, let's move on to what's next. Let's see, what do we got next? Yeah. Maybe I'll just go through the list again, just to check and see who's still here. I know I saw a bunch of people that had to go and some that came in, so we'll see where we're at. So Royal, Sevlev, SK, Awkward or Pika, Helmarok Hero, Kaneki, Yume or Cherry, Anonymous, Becca Breaker, Black Eye, and Khan.
Sparrow, yo, what's up, man?
Sparrow, what's happening? It's been a while.
Sparrow is here.
Yep. Welcome. So yes. Let's see. Okay, so we've got Cherry and we've got Becca Breaker. I'm wondering, maybe we can do both these. So let's see. All right. So the first one will come from Cherry, and this one's called "Don't Worry." Let's see. Let's see what I can do here. Boom. Oh, I'm not gonna win. Princess, you're so good. But look, I'm gonna post it anyway. Actually, no, I'm not. Actually, yes, I am. Because look it. See? Look.
We all knows Joe's link's best.
Yeah.
My link's better than yours. It has the same
My
thing.
link's better than your link. Yours came first.
Joe.
You can click either one of those and it'll be wonderful. So yes. All right. So this one is coming from Cherry, and yeah, let's Princess, take it away.
Thank you. I have always wanted to be comforting. I have always wanted to be loving. I have always wanted to be mature. People like the ones in this community are comforting, and I found plenty of comfort in Ryan and Joe. I wish to be a source of comfort for others, just like how this community gives me comfort. I have done a lot of things I regret in my past. I've hurt a lot of people out of fear of being hurt, as well as other reasons. I have difficulty loving myself and forgiving myself for those things. It's hard to do, so especially when I know there are probably people who haven't forgiven me for those things yet either. If they can't forgive me, it feels wrong to forgive myself. I have this part of me that knows I really want or need something, and out of hate for myself, I reject my ability to have it. Should I eat and drink more water? Let me deprive myself of those things. I'm damaging my voice, hearing, and eyesight by doing this. Let's do it more. I should take care of myself. Well, then, I should have taken care of those friendships, relationships, and people I loved before I lost them. Let me destroy myself, stripping away everything I need, piece by piece, till it inevitably kills me or drives me to finish myself. This same unhealthy tendency also applies to more than just physical needs. I tend to push people away out of self hatred too. If I'm given really good advice, sometimes I ignore it because I know I need it. But I don't want to give myself what I need to be okay when I don't deserve to be okay, when others haven't forgiven me for it. I want people to care, and I want love and comfort. I want people to help me, but at the same time, I know I don't deserve it for the things I've done. So I'm sorry to the ones I've pushed away as a result, and the people who got hurt by it. Sometimes I also find it hard to communicate exactly what I'm trying to say. Even when I speak from my heart, it feels as though I'm leaving something out. Explaining my actions can be so hard at times, because as I mentioned above, I often contradict myself, like how I want love and yet push it away because I know I don't deserve it. Learning how to deal with these issues is hard, so all I ask of you is to give me patience. Recently, I've tried to be like static in that sense. If any bad thoughts come my way, I'll dismiss them and move on. I've tried not to pay attention to that depressing thoughts and reminders. It worked for a while and got rid of, to be honest, all of my issues. I had met this girl who I loved talking to. Talking to her was the highlight of my every day, and she was so impressed by how mentally sound I was. It was good, and I just wanted to stay that way. I thought it would, but she didn't know my past. Eventually, the depressing feelings got to me. It felt like no matter how much I tried to avoid these feelings, the weight of them just kept pulling me down harder and harder each time I resisted. I told her everything, and she abandoned me. It was probably better for her, anyways. I'd had too troublesome of a past to be around someone like her. She shouldn't have to be connected to someone with such a past. But that whole interaction also made me realize I can't coexist with my past. I'm faced with two options. I must erase my past, or I must erase myself. Until I get rid of one or the other, I can never be everything I hope to be. I can't redeem myself from my past, because every time someone finds out, they either leave me or just become distant and no longer trust me. I knew that once I told her, she wouldn't like me anymore. And yet I still made the stupid mistake of telling her. And once again, my pessimism was proven right. The last thing I told her was, "Don't worry." From Cherry.
Wow. Thank you, Cherry. Thank you for and thank you, Princess, for reading that. The way you write, you really capture your feelings well through words. So I do have to give you some props for that. But yeah, I'm really sorry that you're dealing with this. I know what it's like to feel conflicted, and I know what it's like to have a past. I have quite a checkered one. Not as checkered as some other people's that I know. I've done things to hurt people, and every once in a while they haunt me as well. And those are difficult moments from time to time. But yeah, one thing I know for sure is that the more we try to pursue virtue, the more we can start having a track record of good. The more, even though it doesn't erase our past, nothing can really erase what we've done. Once we do something, it's done, and we can't go back and undo it. But if we have a track record of virtue, it can really help it changes us inside, and it also changes the world around us, and it changes their perception of us as well. And I want to start with that just because I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, and he is one of the most virtuous people I know. He has taught me so much about the power of living with virtue and what that can do, not only for you, but for those around you. So I will lovingly hand it over to you, Ryan.
Oh, well, thanks for thinking that, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be the truth. I don't know if I'm the most virtuous person you know, but
You're a
I think it's
tremendous
important to
example
try.
to follow, that's for sure.
Well, thank you. And I'm honored that Cherry would try to do the same. It's an interesting thing to try to be positive and just kind of do away with all the self negativity that you have. And I'm glad that you were able to for a time. And that's first of all, it's very difficult. But second of all, just like you said, it doesn't erase the past, right? And so then when that comes back to us, it haunts us and it can hit us really hard. It could even destroy our relationships. And I've seen that before. It stinks. I've done that. So, you had a couple of things that I'd really like to talk about in here. So you have the one of kind of erasing yourself or erasing your past. And I get that sentiment. And another thing that you talked about is the sense of it's really hard to forgive yourself when others haven't forgiven you yet. That's super relatable. I've felt that before many times, where something goes wrong and the other person hasn't forgiven you yet. It's very difficult to just be okay with yourself. You want things to be resolved. You want things to be calm. You want things to be what's the word?
All good.
Sure. All good. You want all things to be all good. In harmony, I guess. You want things to be at peace and harmony, right? It's tough when you've done something, whether it be on purpose or not, and one way or another, someone needs to forgive you, and they don't forgive you. You can forgive yourself, and then at that same time, you just feel like, okay, I've forgiven myself, but there's still this ache. There's still something wrong in the world, and I haven't fixed it, and I can't fix it because I'm not in control of this other person. So what do I do? How do I actually let go of this? How do I truly forgive myself when this other person's holding on to it and that hurts me, right? I think Joe can talk a lot about on this one. He's really good at talking about forgiveness and that sort of thing. But I can kind of start us off there in saying that as much as we want others to forgive us, to resolve things so that things will be okay, it's not necessary, right? And you know that it's not necessary for self-forgiveness. And it also doesn't change anything. And what I mean by that is this. Okay, it's gonna be dumb. Here's an example. 1 + 1 = 2. 3 + 3 equals... Dude, don't do funky math with me right now. 1 + 1 is 11. And 3 + 3 is 33.
33.
So 6 + 6 is
66.
No, it's 12.
Oh.
What is wrong with you? Okay. Divide by 0. Yeah. I could talk about divide by 0. It's not actually okay. I don't want to get into funky math because here's the thing about divide by 0. It's not unsolvable. It's solvable in so many ways. And some of them are an unsolved problem, but some of them are a solved problem that because it results in so many answers, you can't give one answer and therefore it causes issues. And that's why you can't divide by 0. Okay. I think a lot of people don't know. They think it's just impossible. But there actually are answers that are legitimate, but there's too many. Because sometimes there's an infinite amount of answers and you just can't give that. Anyways.
So divide anything by 0 and it's infinity.
It can be, but it can also be nothing. And it can also be like null, meaning like that doesn't even make sense in the context of the scenario.
Either way,
Um,
on a calculator, it says error.
yeah, it just says error. Yeah. And the calculator is always right. Um, yep. Anyways, so 1 plus 1 is 1. 2 plus 2 is 4.
1 plus 1
Sorry,
is
1
not
plus
1.
1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. Dang it. Okay.
You're talking funky math now.
Now the fact that 2 plus 2 is resolved as 4 doesn't impact that 1 plus 1 is resolved as 2, right? Those two are just completely different, separate things from each other. They're different equations, right?
Mm-hmm.
If someone is working on problem 2 plus 2 and they can't resolve it and they're having trouble, right? Obviously, that's not really a big problem, but if they're looking at this problem, they can't solve it, they can't figure it out. It doesn't have anything to do with your problem. Your problem's a separate problem, right? And you can still resolve yours. So similarly, if someone else isn't forgiving you, the thing is, no matter what, you can't take away the past and you can't change the way they think about it, right? And you know this, but you can forgive yourself and you can let it go even if the other person never does. And you can let it go even if the person continues to bring it up and tries to make a big deal of it all the time, right? I know situations where I've had to deal with that. I know situations where I'm sure Joe's had to deal with that.
Yeah, they can be really hard.
They can be. They can be very hard. So what you can do, though, is interesting. When you forgive yourself, you have to understand that it's not a matter of being right or wrong. And it's not a matter of fixing the past. And it's not a matter of resolving things so that they work out for the good, for the best, right? When you forgive yourself, it's a matter of purifying and sanctifying and making something holy again, if you will. When you have a cut, right? When you get a cut on your arm, right? And you keep on peeling it over and over and over, that's when you're not forgiving yourself, right? But then it heals back into a scar, right? Scarred tissue, or it heals back into callus, right? Either one of the two. That tissue is stronger than normal tissue, right? And it might not necessarily be the most attractive to the outside world, but internally, it's more fortified. It is stronger tissue. It can take a better beating. It can take a better bruises and better shots. When you forgive yourself, you aren't simply putting things back to where they used to be. You aren't simply resolving a scenario. You're actually taking something and making something stronger, more fortified. So understand that when you forgive yourself, it may still appear as a scar to others, unattractive. It may appear as callous, gross, and weird looking, you know? But the truth of the matter is that that artifact on you is actually better. And you should be proud of that. Take pride in the moments where you've been able to forgive yourself. Because it doesn't matter what the other side looks at and sees. What matters are the facts. And the fact is, you've gotten over it and you've become stronger for it. You've become better for it, right? Usually when those things happen, it's like, man, I regret that. Well, exactly. That's the point. Now you have this regret, but also this regret has built you and made you stronger. You know not to do those things, but you also know how to solve them. You also know how to go through them, right? You look at those things where you failed. You look at those things where you failed other people you know, right? And you can say, okay, I understand myself better for this. I understand humanity better for this. I understand in so many different ways the inner workings of wisdom because of this shame, of this scar, right? And it might not be pretty, but you know what it is? It's holy. It's a beautiful thing. It's bad made good. It's something evil that is transformed by the will inside of you into something that is no longer evil and in fact can help others around you. In fact, helps you and in fact glorifies the nature of God because you're taking something that was in the world that was evil and that evil was you and you've changed it. That's amazing. That is amazing. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. That's amazing. That is seriously, supernaturally, way beyond what we should be allowed to be doing as human beings. That is amazing. The fact that you get to take something that was not good and make it good, and that thing being yourself. What power? That's incredible. That's an incredible power. So don't worry about what other people, if they bring it up, if they don't like it, forgive yourself. And when you do, don't worry about the consequences anymore. The thing is, people will still hold grudges. You can't change the past. But the past is important because it allows you to build upon it, right? You can't necessarily change the hearts of others, but you can hopefully meet new ones with better hearts. Now, I understand, when you bring up the past with other people, it can be traumatizing for them, and they might not like you anymore. That totally happens. In those cases, I think it's always important to you build yourself up to the point where they can't doubt you. And you can only do that through not manipulation. You can only do that through becoming the person that is trustworthy, becoming the person that is who you say you are, right? And that takes time. And once you've accomplished that, then you can go back and you can talk to people about those things that you used to be. With a sorrowful conscience, but with a real one that says, hey, I worked through this, and they can tell. And they can aspire to do the same. You can inspire people by your shameful past. If you are willing to work through that past into the future and to become something that doesn't resemble the past, but actually you could only get there because of it. You can see children, like we were just talking about this, children who become incredible people because their parents were not. And of course you can see children who are incredible people because their parents were. But my point is, sometimes that painful past is something you can build upon, and that's a beautiful thing. So don't be ashamed to have that past. Be thankful. And I know that's weird, because why would I be thankful for these terrible things that I've done? This terrible person that I was, right? But be thankful, because that gets to change and become who you eventually will become as you continue to grow. It will help shape it, and it'll make you an even better person than you could ever be without it. And I know that sounds weird, but it's true. It's true. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about was, where was it? There are two things. Another thing is this. So you're talking about, now, I've said this on the stream before. I've said this before, Charity. But you talked about how, when you try to you forgive yourself, but, other people, you can't. You can't forgive yourself, basically, because other people don't forgive you. And because you realize the truth is you don't deserve to be forgiven. And you know what? That is true. The truth is you don't deserve to be forgiven. No one does. It's the honest truth. You don't deserve it. And neither did I. I didn't deserve it. And ever. No matter what I did to make up for it, I didn't deserve it, even. But as I've said on this stream many times before, I don't believe in deserve. And you shouldn't either. I don't believe in deserve. Meaning, I know that it's a concept and it technically works, but it doesn't work well. Right? Now, someone might deserve a paycheck, and sure, yeah, that works. But on a level of forgiveness, on a level of interacting with humans who are capable of sinning or capable of doing terrible things to each other and then changing their ways, deserve doesn't work. I don't have any faith in it. I don't believe in deserve. We didn't deserve to be born in the first place. We didn't do anything to earn it. We didn't do anything to earn the life that we have. We exist because someone else brought us into this world, and we didn't deserve that. We didn't deserve any of the pain that we had to suffer through once we were brought into the world. The people that brought us into the world didn't deserve the pain that they felt bringing us into it, because childbirth is pretty painful. Not that I would know, but I've heard.
Right, yeah. I've seen it.
Yeah, Joe's gotten to seen it. I've actually gotten to seen it. So yeah, it can be hard, right? They didn't deserve that pain. All they were doing is bringing a child out of their love into the world, or maybe wasn't out of love. But either way, it wasn't deserved. None of it was. My point is, the world doesn't work because of deserve, of the nature of deserve. And humanity certainly doesn't. Humanity falls apart and becomes nothing but war in a world where deserve is king. Because let's face it, you can't be forgiving. You can't even hope that someone will do something good, because we all know they've done bad before. That's why I don't believe in deserve. I believe in forgiveness. Mm-hmm. I believe in mercy. Why? Because those things actually bear fruit in humanity. When you have someone who is compassionate and forgives, they heal themselves, absolutely. But you know what they also do? Think about this. There is no friendship that you can keep intact forever if you don't have the ability to forgive. If they do one thing wrong and you hold a grudge against them for the rest of the time that you exist and they exist, that friendship is just going to go more and more apart. But because we have the ability to forgive each other and to forgive ourselves, we have the ability to retain and even strengthen friendships. I'm sure many of you have experienced this, but when you go through a trial with a friend and you work it out to be, you work it out with that person. Like, you know, you have this hardship where you disagree with something or you've hurt them and you work it out together, that friendship becomes more strong. It becomes more intimate. You know you can rely on this person. You know you can trust them. You know that when you fail them again, because you will, that you guys will still hold strong and you'll make beautiful things happen with your friendship. That only can exist in a world where deserve isn't king. Mm-hmm. That only exists in a world where you can forgive. So what I'm saying here is, again, I don't believe in deserve. You shouldn't believe in deserve either. I know there's a lot of things you don't deserve. Maybe you don't deserve forgiveness. You say, I don't deserve to be healthy. I don't deserve to be alive. Sure, but what does deserve have to do with it? It's not done anything for you, like, I mean, literally you exist and you didn't deserve that. Literally, like, you had food on your plate to eat and enjoy. Literally any joy that you've ever received was undeserved. You didn't do anything for that. You just got it and you enjoyed it. And that's okay. That's a good thing. So stop worrying about whether you deserve something or not. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you make your life a good one. That you take your life and you do good with it and you enjoy it. Those things matter, right? If you say, I don't deserve to do good things for others, you're only holding yourself back when you could be doing so much good for others. You say, I don't deserve to have healthy stuff for myself. You know what? You're only holding yourself back. If you didn't care about what you deserved, you'd be farther ahead and you would start to actually probably deserve it. You know what I'm saying? So don't be so hard on yourself. Don't worry about what you deserve. Only aim for doing what's best, what's good, right? And because those things don't pay attention to what people deserve. You have charity organizations out there who help the poor, who don't deserve it. But you know what? We love them because they're good. They're really good. And the people that they serve, they're good too. That comes from our heart. It doesn't come from a nature of deserve. So treat yourself with the same compassion. Treat yourself with the same charity. Aim to and strive for good. And don't worry about the idea of deserve. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't change anything. You can believe and deserve all you want. It doesn't change anything. The truth is you exist here without ever earning it. So make it a good one. Anyways, I'm going to give it over to Joe on that note. Obviously, I didn't touch on, Mike has touched on forgiveness a little bit, but yeah, Joe has a lot of wisdom in forgiveness, the forgiveness of self, and so I'll leave him off on that note. But Joe, I'm sure you have a lot of things you want to say, so go for it.
You've been quoted, Ryan.
That's not good. It's usually weird things that I get quoted on.
We don't deserve the poor.
We don't deserve the poor.
It happened due to the lag, apparently.
Oh, that's funny.
So, Marshmallow, to answer your question, yes. He says, if we deserve nothing, does this mean we don't deserve pain either? Like, we don't deserve the good things, but what about the bad things? And you're right, we don't deserve any of it.
Right. We don't even deserve to exist. What did we do to do that? What did we do to get here?
Nothing. Exactly. So these things are gifts. I don't know.
Yes.
Sometimes pain and hard, difficult things, they're tough to unpack as gifts.
I love that response, and that is the perfect and absolute correct response, Joe. Sorry if I'm cutting into your thing, but you are so right. It is all a gift.
Mm-hmm. In fact, we are gifts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, like I want to address right at the end of your post here, Cherry. I can't coexist with my past. I'm faced with two options. I must erase my past, or I must erase myself. Until I get rid of one or the other, I can never be everything I hoped to be. And I'm a Catholic. And a lot of times there are arguments against Catholicism where they say, it's either this or it's that. And as a Catholic, I've learned to say it's actually both.
That's so Catholic, man. It's actually both.
It's both and. It's not either or. It's both and.
It's both and.
And in this case, I would say both and. And now you're going to have to explain. I'm going to unpack this a little bit. But erase your past and erase yourself. Both. In order to live that fulfilling life, everything you hope to be. Now, I don't mean that you can go back and undo the things you did in your past. And I also don't mean that you should end your life. I don't mean that when I say erase yourself. That's not what I'm talking about. I have a daily affirmation that I say. I say it every day. That's why it's daily. And at the end of it, Marshall, yeah, I was about to say, Joe, yeah, this is it. So hear me out. I don't mean erase yourself from this earth.
You can't do that anyways. You've already been here and you've already made an impact.
Exactly. Exactly.
You've already been a gift.
At the end of my daily affirmation, I have on there, I must never forget that true freedom is freedom from self. And my life is a gift to be given. And so when I remember that, and I'm like, okay.
Is that the, sorry to cut in, is that the quote that you say?
I say that. I came up with that. I didn't.
Yeah, you know, I don't mean it's a quote from somebody else, but that's how.
Yeah, I say it every day. Every day.
Can you say it again?
Yeah, I must never forget that true freedom is freedom from self, and my life is a gift to be given. And here's what I mean. All these things that we think, like when we turn ourselves inward onto ourselves, when we think about ourselves a lot, when we think about all of our problems, we think about all of our issues, we think about all the stuff that we do and what we have done, you know, all that stuff. True freedom is freedom from all that. My desires, my selfish desires, the things that I want. Now, there's nothing wrong with having desires. There's nothing wrong with, you know, living the life experience for sure. But I know that being free, being really free, is to be free from all that. Because then when I don't have to think about all the stuff that I want and then all the things that I want to have happen for me, I'm truly free to serve another person. I'm truly free to give my life as a gift. And this is a hard saying sometimes, you know, and I struggle with it as well. So I would encourage you to erase your past. You're never going to undo the things you did, okay? They're done. You can't get rid of them anymore. But you can erase the guilt. And Ryan was talking about self-forgiveness. And in this case, because you have a past of things that you've done to other people that have hurt other people, that have hurt relationships, that all these things that make you feel like an undeserving person, the route to self-forgiveness is repentance. You got to look at that stuff. And you already feel the sorrow and the guilt from doing it. You already do that, right? And so in repentance, you acknowledge that those things are wrong. And then you say, I'm truly sorry for having done those things. I'm truly sorry. And I firmly resolve to fix my life, to amend my life. Not necessarily to make amends for what you did, but to not do those anymore, to avoid the things that brought you to those moments where you did those things that hurt people, to just separate yourself from those moments. And now, we're never going to be perfect in that, you know. I mean, like, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to confession and confessed the same doggone sins. Same ones.
Oh, yeah. We're good at that. We're good at those ones, huh?
Yep. And every time I say, I resolve to amend my life. I resolve to fix this.
and I never will
And
do
then
this
and,
again.
and, and
I
I
hope.
go back and I go back a week later. Sometimes it was every week. There was a time I was going to confession a few times a week.
Oh my gosh.
But at any rate, like that's when we repent, what happens is we separate ourselves from those actions. And we realize that those actions, those things we did, those are foreign entities from us. They don't define who we are. And that's why when we share our past with people, like what Ryan was talking about is so important. We're not sharing our past with someone to tell them about who we are. We're sharing it as a way, like when we share negative things about our past, it's more of a way of saying, hey, look what I've overcome. Look at, I used to do these kinds of things. Man, I felt so bad about that. It was awful. But you know what? I've learned so much from that experience. That's the beauty of having a past where we've done things that are bad or evil or whatever, is that those things can be redeemed into a better life, into a stronger life, and we become a better person through repenting and resolving to be better, right? That's how we grow. So that's how we can erase the guilt, or at least start to, right? And then to erase yourself is to remind yourself, hey, all these things that I want, that I feel like I need, do I really? We all have goals and we all have dreams. We all have things we want to accomplish, right? We all have stuff we want to achieve. All of that. But for me to be truly free is to let go. And then here's the interesting thing. When we let go of those things, those aspirations that we have for ourselves, it's funny because we end up doing the same things, because it's like, I still have my dreams and my goals and the things I want to do, but now they're not just for me. My dreams and my goals now are a way of me giving my life to the world. The talents that I have, the desires of my heart that I have, they're meant to be used as gifts to enrich the world around me, to enrich the people around me. And you have this in your heart, Cherry. You talked about it. You want to help people. You want to do good. You want to be a light. All these different things, which is so wonderful. And the pathway there is to take those things that we want to achieve, and instead of making them about us and our own success, we turn those into ways to impact the world around us. And that's why I have to remind myself of that every day, because they creep in. My selfish desires creep in all the time. And I have to remind myself, wait a second, no, I would rather be free of all that. Because then I'm free to do what I know is right, what I know I'm on track to do, and I know that I'm giving this away to the world. And then when you have that freedom, it's incredible. Pear says, all right, but just take care of yourself, all right? I know you probably don't need me to hypocritically tell you that, but we all care about you. And yep, you're right. Taking care of yourself is very, very important. And here's another thing. We take care of ourselves, and we can also turn that into creating a good gift for the rest of the world as well. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, we're not a very good gift. Well, maybe we are, but we'd be better if we took care of ourselves. Right? And it gets amazing when we can work our own selves out of it. It's amazing the freedom that can come as a result. But I would encourage you, go through what Ryan talked about. Understand that the route to forgiveness in these situations that you're talking about is through repentance. So yes, you will need to feel that inside. You don't have to go around and apologize to everybody that you did things wrong to, right? But this is in your heart. This is just between you and God, or between you and you, whoever, if you are a praying person, make it between you and God. If you're not, do it all inside, because that's where the true repentance lies. We can go say we're sorry to other people and repent to other people, and that's fine. That can make amends, and that can reconcile a relationship for sure. But that doesn't do near the amount of healing in our hearts as when we do it ourselves, inside ourselves. Then we know it's real and it's sincere, and it's not driven by a need to have that other person around us, if that makes sense. So at any rate, that's what I have. I hope that makes sense. Ryan, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I just want to kind of say like what you were just talking about. If you go to another person and you repent to them, it kind of puts it's not always true repentance, because here's what happens. Either they say, yeah, I forgive you, it's okay. And then you can let everything go and you're like, oh, this is great. But if they say, I don't forgive you, then you are unable to forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how that goes, because you are basically putting them on the spot to allow yourself to forgive yourself. Because what you're looking for is not forgiveness. What you're looking for is for everything to be okay. You want everything to be okay. You want everything to just have worked out, and that you guys aren't mad at each other anymore, or they don't dislike you anymore, right? A lot of times that's what it is. It's like, I just don't want them to dislike me, and if that can happen, then I don't have to worry about it anymore. And so therefore I'm just naturally forgiven by process of not worrying anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not true. It doesn't work. Even if they do forgive you, it doesn't mean that it doesn't come back to haunt you years later, because you realize, I never forgave myself during those times. I just made it so that the relationship was okay. But at the end of the day, I never forgave myself for those things. I just kind of got over them because I wasn't worried about them anymore.
Mm.
And so it's important to be able to forgive yourself on your own, and not worry too much about what they think of you. Now, yes, of course, it's not wrong by any means to go to them and repent.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just prefacing that with, you have to be able to make sure you can forgive yourself outside of whatever they say.
Mm-hmm. And really, in order to have that repentance with another person be sincere, I would recommend first doing it inside yourself. Because then you've made the amendment in your life. You've made that repentance in your life, and then that sincerity can carry over into your dealings with the other person. So because then
yeah. And just to make it clear, it's not like forgiveness is just like, oh, okay, I forgive myself after everything that you do that's wrong. Obviously it requires repentance, it requires sorrow, it requires a general desire to not want to do it again, and that sort of thing. And you have all of those things. You are sincere in that. So I think you will get there, Sherry. And there was one other thing that I was thinking about, but you know what? I don't remember anymore, and that's okay. So we'll probably move on.
Right on. I wanted to touch on one thing. We are getting a little bit short on time, and Becca, I know you're here. I think you're still here, and I really want to give yours justice, and I don't want to try and rush through it. So if it's okay with you, I think it'd be best if we could wait until next Wednesday, for it. But at any rate, I did want to mention one thing on this. Okay, cool. Thank you. Keep in mind, and this kind of underlies everything that I've said and everything that Ryan has said. you have two circles in your life. You have a circle of concern, and you have a circle of influence. Now, the circle of concern is all the things that we're concerned about, all the things that we think about, everything that kind of worries us a little bit, everything that, we feel this emotional impact from, right? That's our circle of concern. The circle of influence is all the things that we can do something about. Now, we feel at peace when those circles line up. When our circle of concern lines up with our circle of influence. So the things that we're concerned about are the things that we can actually do something about. And we feel unrest more and more the farther those circles get from each other. So, like Ryan was talking about, we cannot control, we have no control whether somebody forgives us or not. We don't. The only thing we have influence over is whether or not we do our part. That's it. But we have no control over another person. Therefore, it's outside of our circle of influence. So if we spend a lot of time being concerned about that, that's something that we can mentally check. Wait, I ask myself this all the time. When I feel myself start to go down a path of concern and I'm like, oh no, this situation is really crazy. And then I'll ask myself, can I do something about this? And sometimes it's a very sobering question. Because it's like, no, I can't do anything about this. And it's like, well, then why am I so concerned about it? Like, man, and sometimes that's all I need to do. Now, other times I need to work it out. Other times in my brain, I need to like work through the thing and I need to actually come to grips with the fact that I can't influence it or whatever, And then you can start to think to yourself, okay, well, what can I do with regard to this situation? Is there something I can do? And then you just leave it at that. It's like I put on my list, a lot of times throughout the week to call different members of Black Static and Swerve. I used to put on there, have a conversation about this with so-and-so. I used to put that on my to-do list, right? But then I started to realize I don't have any control over that. The one thing I have control over is, did I dial their number and hit send? That's it. So that's all I put on my list now. Did I make the call? And whether they answer or not, whether they're busy or whatever's going on, if they can talk to me at that point in time, at least I know that I did the thing that I can do. And then that's done off my list. And I'm like, okay, cool. But I wanted to read you guys something. This ended up on my desk. And I don't know why. And I was looking at it. I was like thinking about you guys and all the things we talk about on this show. And this is interesting. It comes from The Monument by Blaine Jorgensen. And it's just this little piece of paper, right? Interestingly enough, there's a church. I haven't been physically to a church in a long time, since COVID, basically. But the church that I would go to on Sunday mornings, I've never really talked to anybody there. I just go there and go to mass, and then I'm there by myself. And, because I'm Catholic, but my family's not. And so I go by myself and I sit there and go to mass, and I don't really talk to anybody, and I'm there for the time and I leave. And this one gentleman who's always very friendly, he's always very nice, and he was welcoming and everything. He came to me after church one day and he handed me this paper. And he just said, "Here, read this." And I was like, okay. And so I took it and then I read it. And I'm going to read it to you because it really made an impact. And it says, Before God sent his children to earth, he gave each of them a very carefully selected package of problems. These, he promised, smiling, are yours alone. No one else may have the blessings these problems will bring you. And only you have the special talents and abilities that will be needed to make these problems your servants. Now go down to your birth and to your forgetfulness. Know that I love you beyond measure. These problems that I give you are a symbol of that love. The monument you make of your life with the help of your problems will be a symbol of your love for me, your Father. And I remember reading that and I was like, wow, that puts a whole different spin on problems. Our problems are gifts. And with those problems and with the talents, the special talents that you have everything you need to sort out and to get past those problems. And the life that you build in response to all those problems that come your way, it's a monument. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing. And so these problems, all the things we talk about, they're special. And you can build a great life with them. So, I don't know. I remember reading that and it made an impact on me. Hopefully, it was cool to read that.
I liked it. That was cool. That was beautiful.
But, well, then I guess it's okay because Ryan said it was okay.
Well, I'm not the judge for everything. There's people who aren't necessarily of the faith, so they don't necessarily care too much, but it's okay.
Yep, that's all right. But it just helps to point out the usefulness of our problems.
Yeah.
Yep. And how even though they're not fun to go through, they're not fun to deal with, we can build a great life along with them. And yeah, thank you, Joe, for that man's paper. Yep, you're welcome. And he's a great guy. I really like him. But anyway, you guys are awesome. Thanks for being here tonight on Don't Worry Wednesday. We will be back next Wednesday to handle more of your topics. And like I said, Becca, we'll hopefully be able to get to yours. And I apologize for not getting to it. But yeah, I want to be able to do it justice. So
yeah,
we'll do that next week. Thank you all for your topics. Thank you for being here. Thank you, especially Princess, for keeping us on track and handling the chat and, reading the topics and doing everything that you do. You're so amazing. And thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, you too, Joe.
Awesome. And
thanks for hosting, and thanks for producing.
Detective.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody in the chat. We love you guys too. You guys are amazing and super lovable.
Yep.
Here's my detective.
Good. You got yours.
Yep.
They're cool.
There you go.
So awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here again. And thanks for being who you are in the chat. You guys are so amazing to watch, all the things you say to help and to be positive. You guys are awesome. So we'll see you next Wednesday. Come back and see us again. Until then, have a wonderful week. Take care, you guys.
Bye-bye. Peace.